former Pentagon official David Garouche, who says that there are evidence of not just the wreckage of UFOs, but an intact vessel. No Russian, United States, or Chinese craft can do this. This is beyond our technical capabilities as far as we know.
With the wonderment of a cosmic detective, Michio Kaku, the renowned physicist, embarks on an enthralling pursuit, unveiling extraterrestrial enigmas in a breathless whisper, "We are not alone."
Now we have hours of videotape from the United States Navy. We can measure the data from these videotapes. We now know that these objects can travel between Mach 5 and Mach 20, up to 20 times the speed of sound. They can drop 80,000 feet within a matter of a few seconds. Not only that, they can also fly underwater. It used to be that one person would see something in the sky and say, "Look, Martha, look, there's something up there." Now things have changed. Now we have multiple sightings by multiple modes. That is the gold standard for looking for these objects.
With an awe-inspiring gaze that peers beyond the stars, Kaku's voice resonates like a cosmic sonnet, urging humanity to embrace the tantalizing possibility of contact with intelligent beings from beyond our world.
Well, first of all, I don't know if the aliens are out there, but I'd be shocked if they weren't. We have cataloged so far 4,000 planets going around other stars in the galaxy. And so we have a census, for the first time, a census of the Milky Way galaxy. On average at night, every single star you see at night has a planet going around it.
The weight of this extraterrestrial revelation rests heavily upon Kaku's shoulders, transforming him into an interstellar ambassador, daring to traverse the boundaries between science and speculation.
We have videotapes of, yes, them diving into the oceans and then swimming underwater. Now, we don't have that capability with our rocket ships. Our rocket ships are not maneuverable like that. They can't go between Mach 5 and Mach 20 within a matter of a few seconds. But these objects are now on tape.
As the world grapples with Kaku's cosmic disclosures, his voice becomes a cosmic beacon, igniting a fervent desire to explore the possibility of contact with civilizations that might dwell in the depths of space.
Not just one person, but several people that are reputable. Not just radar, but visual sighting, infrared sensors, telescopic evidence. Now we have multiple sightings by multiple modes. And so the burden of proof has shifted. It used to be the burden of proof was on the people who believed in UFOs. They saw something, prove it.
Within the depths of Kaku's extraterrestrial odyssey lies a mosaic of cosmic contemplation, inviting the world to consider the profound implications of a universe teeming with life and the potential for cosmic encounters.
This means there are billions of Earth-like planets in our own backyard, perhaps with oceans, atmospheres, perhaps with microbial life, we don't know. But we think, though we cannot prove, that the galaxy could be teeming with life.
The spotlight intensifies upon Kaku as he becomes an ambassador of the cosmos, fearlessly venturing into the unknown, guided by the quest to shed light on the mysteries that may lie beyond our earthly abode.
We have videotapes of these things, and we physicists are now taking them apart frame by frame to analyze what is the state of their technology. And so far, it seems to be beyond anything that we can field with our arsenal.
In this epic-defining moment, the world stands at the threshold of cosmic revelation, captivated by Michio Kaku's interstellar inquiry, awakening to the reality that our journey to comprehend the cosmos may lead us to a deeper understanding of our place in the grand tapestry of the universe.
Now the burden of proof has shifted to the Pentagon, to the military. Now they have to prove that these aren't extraterrestrial. And so I think there's been a sea change in the last just several years. 50 years ago, there was a congressional hearing, and it was coming out of Project Blue Book. And there was a lot of laughter and a lot of jokes about little green men in outer space. 50 years ago, that's the way it was. Now, things have changed. Now people are looking at, are they a threat militarily? What kinds of sensors do we have? What kind of metrics do we have? We now have frame by frame an analysis of these objects. These objects travel between Mach 5 and Mach 20. That's 20 times the speed of sound. These objects can zigzag, and we can measure the g-force inside this object. The g-forces are several hundred times the force of gravity. In other words, any living person's bones would be crushed by these objects, so they're probably drones of some sort. These objects can drop 70,000 feet in a few seconds. Think about that. It can drop a tremendous distance in just a few seconds, and they can go underwater. This is something that we didn't realize before, but yes, they can actually go underwater. And they also move without creating an exhaust or breaking the sound barrier. So these are things that we can now document frame by frame looking at these videotapes. Well, the military has finally owned up to this. For the first time in history, the military now admits that, quote, they are not ours. You see, before you could always play this cat and mouse game with the media saying that maybe they're stealth bombers, maybe they're experimental aircraft being perfected at Area 51. Nope. The military now admits that they're not ours. So they could be Russian, they could be Chinese. They're working on what are called hypersonic drones. Hypersonic drones can also maneuver somewhat similar to that you've seen in the videos, but these things go underwater. Think about that. They can actually dive and go underwater. And they can drop 80,000 feet in a matter of just 1 or 2 seconds. No Russian, United States, or Chinese craft can do this. This is beyond our technical capabilities as far as we know. Now the Pentagon has to prove that these aren't extraterrestrial. And now we have this senior Pentagon official, former Pentagon official David Garouche, who says that there are evidence of not just the wreckage of UFOs, but an intact vessel, perhaps even the bodies. And again, the difference is that this is no longer just a farmer or a suburbanite saying they saw something out there. Now there is a debate within the Pentagon itself at the highest level, with different people within the military contradicting each other. And so I think that this is a good thing, because now perhaps the truth will come out. Well, it used to be that the burden of proof was on the eyewitness accounts. Martha, I see something in the sky. That's not a burden of proof. Now the burden of proof has shifted. Now the military has to prove that these aren't extraterrestrial. And just remember that a Saturn rocket traveling at tremendous velocities would take 70,000 years just to reach the nearby stars. And these objects apparently can navigate between star systems in less than 70,000 years, which means that there's a technology involved here that is beyond anything that we can feel here on the planet Earth. And so this is not proof. We're still analyzing these photographs, but we need more data. And for those of you out there who want to email us scientists about their sightings, we have a word of advice. The next time you are kidnapped by a flying saucer, for God's sake, steal something. A pen, a pencil, a chip, an alien technology. Steal anything, because there's no law. There's no law against stealing from an extraterrestrial civilization. And maybe we'll have bragging rights after you come back from outer space. Well, there is this giggle factor, and it's the third rail, of course, of your scientific reputation, if you believe in these things. But the evidence is accumulating over the last several years. Now, when I was first approached by Carolyn Corey, the producer of this film, A Tear in the Sky, I was skeptical. I said to myself, come on. I mean, 5 days? 5 days you're going to look for flying saucers in the sky? What happens if the aliens are camera shy and they don't show up in 5 days? So I was pleasantly surprised when they actually found something. They actually have photographic evidence of objects that can gyrate just the way the Pentagon has said. And so we now have a sea change. A center of gravity has changed with regards to looking at these objects. We no longer simply look at one individual seeing something in the sky. No, we demand hours of videotape, multiple sightings by multiple modes. That's the gold standard now.
Well, maybe initially, but eventually you get bored because the squirrel doesn't talk back and the squirrel has nothing more to say to you. So I think that if the aliens are out there, they may find us curious. They may be curious about our level of technology and stuff. But for the most part, they'll leave the forest animals to themselves, I think.
Well, I'm a scientist. We have to be open to the truth and to data. That's what we physicists work on. The more information we get, the better. Now, so far, we have not seen the smoking. We have not seen evidence of DNA, for example, from these alien bodies. We haven't seen alien transistors and alien circuits. That would clinch it right there. No ifs, ands, or buts. As soon as we have alien DNA or an alien chip, end of story. However, we're not there yet, because we just have eyewitness accounts of people who've encountered these things, but we don't have the smoking. And until we have the smoking, we scientists have to reserve our final judgment. But the very fact that we're talking about this at all is amazing. The burden of proof has shifted. Now the Pentagon has to prove that these aren't extraterrestrial. This is, I think, a milestone. Well, put it this way. On average, when we scan the heavens and look for planets circling around other stars, on average, 1 out of every star has a planet going around it. Now, within the galaxy, we're talking about tens of thousands of stars, and yet every single one of them on average, apparently, has a planet going around them. So how many planets are there? Therefore, we're talking about billions of planets right in our own backyard. So we can't dismiss the possibility that these objects could have a technology beyond anything we can muster. Now, traveling near the speed of light, we can't do that. But there is a theory that says that wormholes may allow us to take a shortcut through space, just like Alice would go through the looking glass to go from Wonderland to Oxford. And so that's a technology that does seem to be within the known laws of physics. But other than that, we physicists have a hard time getting our heads around the fact that if these things really are extraterrestrial, this means they can sweep across the galaxy in a blink of an eye. We can't do that. Well, the Pentagon has listed, I think, 5 different options. One option, of course, is that they're weather balloons or something that's an artifact of our space program. Maybe a piece of rocket that is plunging back into the Earth's atmosphere. That's one category. Another category is anomalous weather events. They happen, and they have to be looked at very carefully. But the last option is other. That is not just the Russians or the Chinese, because these objects apparently can gyrate faster than what the Chinese and the Russians can muster, but it opened the door to the possibility of other. They didn't specify what other was, but you can fill in the dots yourself. Now, one possibility for other is hypersonic drones. We see that in warfare now. The Russians in the battle is actually using hypersonic drones to hit targets. To be hypersonic, you have to go faster than Mach 5. Anything faster than 5 times the speed of sound is called hypersonic. And so the Russians are now fielding hypersonic drones in warfare. But you see, this is something just in the last few months. These sightings, they go back decades into the past, with objects executing these gyrations decades ago. And that's why you have to take them seriously.
Well, we have to realize that we could be encountering new laws of physics. If they can reach us from the stars, that means they can exceed the light barrier. They can break the light barrier, which means they could be hundreds of thousands of years more advanced than us.
Well, Stephen Hawking, the cosmologist, before he passed away, said that wormholes may take us faster than the speed of light as far as space is concerned. Time travel, he was a little bit more skeptical about, because of the fact that if you go backwards in time and do it repeatedly, you would create a loop. and you would create enough energy to blow the whole thing apart, and your time machine would explode. However, there's a fault within Stephen Hawking's proof. You see, if you go backwards in time, the river of time may fork into two rivers, in which case, when you save Abraham Lincoln from being at Ford's Theater, you've actually split the universe. So in one universe, Abraham Lincoln survived. That's when the river of time forks into two rivers. In that situation, you don't have this time loop. You don't have this infinity of universes going backwards and forwards through the time loop. And then maybe, just maybe, you can go backwards in time. I wouldn't bet on it, but you can't rule it out either.